Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, this is my forever co-host John, and look, it's Reptile. I'm kidding, no what?
The fuck?
Sorry, my ADHD is like Reptile. But no, today we're talking about Child's Play. The original one. This whole line is made out of like original slashers, and we end on a pretty unique one. You're so weirded out by my ADHD.
Yeah, like what do you want me to do next? Like, hi, I'm John Bass.
Just putting a bit more energy or comedy into our intros. I don't know. But yeah.
Okay.
Same question as the last two. When was the first time you watched this?
I remember when I was a kid, my friend used to freak me out because one of my friends, my oldest friends, was he loved to watch horror movies. When I recently found out he hates horror movies, he just liked it when he watched it with me, because he could be like the braver older friend, and it was like he could make fun of me for being scared at some scenes where he clearly was afraid of too. And one of those movies were Chucky, or Child's Play, but we called it Chucky. And I think this sparked that whole I'm afraid of porcelain to rubber dolls, especially the ones that have like the flapping eyes.
Yeah.
Like, Furbies are fine, but when you have that thing where you could feed it a bottle and it'll just like start moving its head and like saying words, I'm like, no, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. As soon as I see you holding a knife, I'm gonna punch you like a football player.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
I wonder if we can make like a survey on the comment section of like, growing up, did you guys call it Child's Play or did you just call it Chucky? Because for the longest time, people just called it Chucky. I was like, oh, okay.
Man, it's kind of the same situation with Jason and Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Where, like, when you're finally ready to, like, watch it, like, alright, I'm finally down to watch these movies, you're like, there's no movie called Chucky anywhere. What? I don't understand this.
Yeah, or the only Chucky movie I find is, like, the one from 2013.
Yeah, and you're like, that's way too far. I want the original. But no, I watched this, again, like a lot of these for the lineup. I watched this during the lockdown, and out of all of them, I was like, watching this for the first time, I was like, damn, I am missing out. Why? Why did I miss out on this? Because it's a very, again, unique horror movie. Like, is it really horror? I would argue it's obviously more slasher than horror. But there's nothing like Child's Play. And like, I forgot exactly how many movies there are, but there are a lot. And like, it becomes more satirical, comedy central as we go along. But for the first one, it's very serious, and you're like, it's a very interesting trend with a lot of this lineup actually. Like, as you go further down with like Texas Chainsaw and Nightmare on Elm Street, like the villains become like almost more comedic or almost more darkly humorous, and you're like, it's an interesting trend. And like, even though some of the movies are straight up like bad, you're like, I still like this trend of like satirical comedy from all of the lineups. But for Child's Play, the thing that struck me the most the first time watching this was like, wow, this kid actor, I'm not annoyed by. I actually find him quite adorable. Alex Vincent, Andy.
Okay, yeah, Andy. Like, dude, seeing him do those scenes where, I know I'm skipping ahead, but like where he sees Chucky climbing up towards him when he was in the hospital. And he's like asking for help, and the doctor clearly doesn't believe him, and you just see him like lose hope, like, I am alone in this situation.
Yeah.
That was a good scene. I was like, how is this kid pulling that off without genuine fear?
Right?
He's like played by a 6 or 8 year old?
I think Alex Vincent was 6, and you're like, damn.
I'd say Oscar worthy performance from a kid.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Though I'm surprised he's not terrified by the commercial. Not by the doll, but like the mannequin of like, hi kids, want to buy a buddy doll? You're like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
I was like, but dude, like, looking back, you see like Chuck E. Cheese mascots, especially McDonald's.
Yeah.
Except for Grimace. Grimace is like the most tamed fucking mascot we could find. And everything else was just nightmare fuel.
Oh yeah.
If it wasn't from Sesame Street or the Muppets, any mascot's just freaky.
You know, even the Funko Pops are kind of creepy. A friend gave me this. I don't know why. I like it, but like...
No, I was like, okay, cool, but why did they design it like that?
Right? Jesus. Oh, I forgot. The very beginning is like, you're like, am I watching Child's Play or am I watching some modern or like 80s detective movie with?
You know what it reminded me of? Terminator.
Yeah, with Charles Lee Ray. I found out from Dead Meat that the producer David Kirshner came up with the name because of like 3 people he feared growing up, which is Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. The latter 2 are assassins. One of them was the assassin of Kennedy, and the other one was the assassin of Dr. Martin Luther King. And you're like, that makes sense for a kid growing up in like the 60s and 70s of like, oh god, these men destroyed our hopes and dreams. Like, makes sense.
Yeah.
And Charles Manson made us lock our doors, so no wonder he was afraid of them.
You know, I say you should have just been doing that from the start, but okay.
Right? And then Charles Lee Ray puts his soul into one of the buddy dolls, and you're like, I agree with Dead Meat where this is kind of like Jaws and Alien, where they don't. At first, you're like, am I going crazy or am I just thinking this doll is alive? Because you don't really see him explicitly like twitch or blink when they bring him home, and you're like, there's something going on. I think it's the doll. I've been told it's the doll, but I don't think it's the doll. I think I'm
like there's
crazy.
a clear message that it is the doll. The doll's the problem here.
Yeah.
Also, look. I'm sorry. Because when we get introduced to the kid, he's like making his mom breakfast, putting a shit ton of sugar in that cereal and giving her cancer, and heart failure with all that butter and burnt toast.
He's lucky that his mom is a Filipino because that mess in the counter might get him a slipper.
Doesn't matter how young you are, you cleaning that shit up.
Yeah, exactly. But no.
But yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, you like these characters. You like Karen and Andy. You're just like, watching this movie for the first time, like, I hope nothing bad happens to both of them, because from the first 5 minutes you're like, oh, I like this family.
Yeah. It's not a bad, like, none of them are annoying or unredeemable to a point where you're like, good.
Yeah.
You know? But I remember, like, the mom's cruel to Andy. She was like, hey, what present you want to open? But clearly the huge fucking present. I was like, could be a toy. And straight up, like, all that packaging for, like, ooh, pants. And I was like, that was horrible.
It's like
a horrible mom for doing that.
It's like, why can't you just get a regular sized box, Mom? Thank you.
Right. So I was like, okay.
And then she's
but
like,
yeah, he does open like another present, but it's like not the one he wanted.
It's like accessories, and you're like, that's a weird choice of presents, though. Of like, let me get you the accessories and not the actual.
Right, not the actual toy. I'm like, okay.
It's like buying a Batarang set, and you're just like, but I want
Where's Batman?
Yeah. But her friend Maggie is like, look, I found this peddler who's selling the Buddy doll for like the cheapest price. And you're just like, I don't think you should. You know what? I won't question where you get things in the 80s. Why not?
Yeah, that is so fucking weird. Like, she works at a department store, and like, you just go to the back alley and just buy whatever.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. Man, I don't know. This New York in the 80s was weird. Like, there were turtles coming out of the fucking sewers and shit. Like, I don't know.
Was it New York? I think it was Chicago.
Was it Chicago?
Yeah.
It all started to look the same, you know.
Like, I mean, I've never been to an American city, so I wouldn't know how they look.
Neither would I.
Yeah.
Hey, look, a majority of the world thinks we're just beaches and tropical rainforests.
Yeah. She brings back the, what do you call it? Buddy doll, good boy Buddy. I'm confusing this for the 2019 version.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck's the Child's Play thing?
Yeah.
Bro, no.
It isn't.
Also, by the way, who the fuck's in charge in Toy Kingdom to put a Child's Play toy in the child section? That's funny, but horrible.
It is a pretty impressive animatronic, though, of just seeing this thing just come to life. And you're like, if I had it as a kid, I might be more scared of it than like playing with it. But
because I remember my mom bought herself that in like when I was a kid, and then she just wanted the doll, but like she always wanted that kind of doll, and I was like, that is the enemy.
and of course, Andy being a kid, like starts playing with it, but the thing is like gravitating towards the news of like, I know my partner's name, and I know he's escaped. That son of a bitch, I'm gonna get him. And you're just like, interesting how the doll just turns around like this. You're like, that's kind of scary. That's already two red flags right there. Goodbye. I'm throwing this in the dumpster. But no, Maggie suspects something, but she clearly has no idea who's creeping around watching the news, and she thinks it's Andy. But later that night, something creeps up behind her and hits her on the head with a hammer, and she falls off from the window. And you're like, you know what? I won't question it again. Like, how the fuck did that happen?
Same here. Also, what kind of toy company gives kids real hammers?
Right?
I'm like, all right, cool. But anyway, yeah, it is weird too, because like she's not an annoying character. She's not like an unredeemable character, but we're like, okay, it's fine. She's a good friend of the mom.
Yeah.
Who's taking care of the kid, and clearly was a good aunt. And then she gets killed, which is like it made me like feel a little devastated. I was like, did she deserve that?
Right.
But I guess that's horror for you, or like that's a slasher movie for you.
Also, I've learned from Dead Meat that she is from Greece. She's the leader of the Pink Ladies.
Oh.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, cool. Genre switching.
That's cool.
I like.
Yeah.
Speaking of other movies, the detective is the actor for Jack Skellington in A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Sarandon. You're like, oh, cool. He was also in Princess Bride. I just forgot us who. But no, he's like, oh, there are tiny shoe prints on the counter. I wonder who else has tiny shoe prints. Oh, it's Andy. Andy, do you know what happened? He's like, I don't know what happened. I think it's the doll though. And he's like, right.
No, but he was like, hey, what kind of shoes are those? And it was like the good boy shoes. Oh, I was like, oh. Kid, it's like legitimately admitting to murder when he doesn't really know.
Yeah. But he sees the powder on Chucky's shoes, and he's like, detective, it's the Chucky doll did. And he's like, I'm going home. He's like, oh, okay. And then the mom's like, what happened? He's like, I've been talking to Chucky. Chucky says Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and she got what she
was a real bitch.
She's like, Jesus Christ.
And he was like, oh, and his name's actually Lee.
Charles Lee.
Charles Lee Ray. And I'm like, you ain't gonna put that together. Why does your kid know that name?
Yeah.
Do you not watch the news?
Do you not watch the news and hear of like the infamous Lake Shore Strangler? I guess she doesn't. But like the next day, they go to school, but Chucky tells Annie to like, let's skip school and kill my enemy. I'm like, or let's just skip school. She's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, and then like they commute. And I was like, I don't know what's up with the states letting a child just.
Right.
I know it's a movie. But like, I like really nobody questioned like, why is there a child in the train alone?
What is that?
Like, yeah. But nah, he goes straight up to the slums. And I was like, really? Nobody's gonna like just kidnap this child?
This is after...
I'm like, I don't want them to, but at the same time, like,
yeah, America knows that people are more dangerous now than ever. So why aren't people panicking of like, that's a fucking child in the streets?
That's a child. We should like do something about it.
Yeah. But like the next kill is pretty sick of like Chucky turning on the stove, just letting the gas loose, and Eddie Caputo being like, I got you now, son of a bitch, and just blowing himself up and the rest of the house, and for Andy being like, oh, that's unfortunate. Shit.
Because like you do see him like Chucky, all like walking around the house.
Yeah.
And then like he's like a few feet from the house before it blew up. I was like,
he's like,
is the kid okay?
Right.
Does the kid still have eardrums? I don't know.
Right. And then his mom sees him in the police station, and she's like, what happened? And he's like, Chucky, tell her. Chucky, why do you lie to her? Why do you lie to me?
I love how Andy was like, you son of a bitch, start talking.
And then Mike and the mom just like, right, fuck. Mike is insane.
Okay. Yeah, and the doctor was like, alright, we got an institute, we could put him in there for a bit.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem right.
And then the mom goes home and she's like, maybe he's not wrong. And she's like, maybe I'm just going crazy. Then she shakes the box and she's like, oh, the batteries are there. They're not in, Chucky. What the fuck? And you guys, the audience, are like, so I'm not crazy. Jesus Christ.
And then, like, when she, like, looks at Chucky for a good while and she sees that there's no batteries, Chucky, like, frowns his brow and, like, his face starts to contort into, like, making proper expressions.
Yeah.
Great job on the what do you call it?
Animatronic? The puppeteer?
Animatronic, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shit's cool. And then it bites her, I was like, eh.
Yeah. And you hear the legendary voice of Brad Dourif, who's been the voice of Chucky for, like, until now. Even the TV show, he's still the voice of Chucky. Like, it was only in 2019 that he was, I think because of scheduling issues, he had to step down, and an indie actor by the name of Mark Hamill had to step in. It was like, oh, that's not a bad thing.
Look, I don't know what's scarier now, is that, like, the doll has the voice of Joker.
Alright. I think, yeah, that was the 2019 reboot. But, like, Brad Dourif has been in a lot of movies aside from this. Like, he was Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. The Gandalf the Grey is coming. He is not welcome. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this freaky seeing this doll be like, I wanna be you fucking bitch. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Like, it bites her because, like, she was about to, like, toss it into the fire because she was like, fuck you, son of a bitch, I'm burning you alive. And then he bites her in the arm and he scurries off. It makes me uncomfortable knowing the fact something that small can move that fast.
Right. And then she goes to the detective. She's like, you know what? If you won't believe me, I'm gonna go to the original guy who I bought it off from. And she goes to the slums. And then she talks to the guy. The guy gets too close for comfort. And he's like, I'm very uncomfortable as it is. Please don't do that. The detective just knees him in the balls. And he's like, talk you son of a bitch. Like, the theme of this entire movie is talk you son of a bitch. And then he...
I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, are we really gonna skip over that fact that one character almost another character? Alright, cool.
Cool. Thank God it didn't fall through. Because Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But no, the guy tells the detective, like, oh, I got it from the building where it burned down. And he's like, oh, fuck, that's where Charles Lee Ray died. Shit. And the mom gets to put it together, but he's like, nah, I don't believe you. And then it's only when he's almost garroted to death. He's like, yo, I fucking believe her. Shit.
Yeah. And that was a really cool thing. I really thought the cop was gonna die at that moment. I was like, oh, that's a waste.
Right? Also don't know why the guy just doesn't, pump the brakes of like, you know what? I should stop this car before I kill myself.
I guess when you're being choked, you can't really... But he was steering while being choked.
Yeah.
So...
he shoots Chucky and Chucky's like, ah, shit, I'm becoming mortal. And he runs away to his voodoo friend and like...
Oh yeah, I love that scene though. He was like, you can't hurt me. Then he just shoots him in the chest like, ah, fuck.
And then the voodoo guy is like, I am not gonna help you. You are an abomination to nature. Everything I thought you've twisted. And he's like, oh cool, I have your voodoo doll. And you're like, can Chucky not just make voodoo dolls of the people he wants to kill then? Why? Why doesn't... I don't understand. We're dealing with different magic this time. Of like voodoo and possession.
I was like, if you just like... No, because all I remember is that he grabbed the voodoo doll from the guy's place. So I'm guessing he doesn't know how to make them. He just knew that the guy had one. But the question is, why does a guy have a voodoo doll of himself?
That's like the worst thing ever.
Right? It's either he's an idiot or something perverted's at play here. But yeah, like, he had that and then starts twisting his bones, which is a very creative way of killing somebody, which I really like. And then, like, he just stabs the doll in the chest and then he has a huge gaping wound.
Yeah, he tells him before he dies, like, oh, to do the whole possession thing again, you have to do it to the first person you've revealed yourself to. And he's like, oh, sweet, that's a 6-year-old. I'm gonna go, bye. And the guy's like, oh fuck. Tell us the mom the situation, and we get to the scene you mentioned in the beginning where poor Andy's like, oh, please believe me, there's a doll chasing after me, doctor, please.
Yeah.
And see poor Alex Vincent just start crying. You're like, oh, poor child, I'm so sorry that the doctor thinks you're batshit crazy, but I wouldn't blame him either. And he's chased by Chucky into the, I guess, operating room.
And you see this kid with just a scalpel. Just,
I'm ready to go.
And then, of course, the doctor comes in just in time to be like, alright, time to let that go. Okay, you're a crazy child. Alright, I'm gonna put you to sleep. And then you just see him, like, get stabbed in the leg, then they put that thing for shock therapy on his head.
And Chucky...
And he just... I thought it was gonna be a lame death. I really did. Because usually it's just the guy gets cooked and then he's dead.
But he gets burned.
Like, he starts burning and then he starts bleeding from the eyes. And I was like...
Jesus Christ. What?
Yeah, I was like, does the kid have to see this?
And then the mom's like, oh, I always told Annie to go home. Because the first time I travel, he has to go home for safety. And then that's where they go. And then Chucky disguises himself as like a regular doll. And some old woman's like, it's an ugly ass doll. And the guy's like,
yeah, well, fuck you.
Fuck you. And then him and Chucky have a cat and mouse game, and poor guy gets knocked out. You're like, oh, poor kid, why? You just see this kid be whacked on the back of the head. He's like, bong, like, oh fuck, poor guy.
He's like battered up. I was like, oh. I appreciate that Chucky has like quips.
Same here. And then the mom and detective rescue them in time, but Chucky knocks the detective out. But the mom has a smart decision of like, you know what, I am gonna burn you. And then Chucky tells Andy before he kills him, he's like, but I am your friend till the end. He's like, is this the end?
Friend. Yeah, I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah, you saw that scene where she was like holding like the gate for the fireplace back.
Yeah.
Ain't no Tim from Jurassic Park. You could have just helped.
Right? But Chucky's still alive. It is nightmare fuel seeing burnt Chucky. I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to be?
And that shit was cool though.
Yeah.
It's like now he was like going after Andy, he's all burnt. And I was like, as freaky as that is a cool shot.
Yeah. It's funny that the voodoo guy just never told them like, yeah, no, he did tell them to shoot them in the heart, but they all
like, yeah, you have to hit the heart because he's almost human.
But the detective forgets and the mom forgets of like they just start shooting Chucky everywhere. But the most important part, and you're like, you know, I get that you're panicking, but at the same time, it's like right here.
Like, vital information should be just there to stop you from panicking. You know?
But like everybody in the room that believes the child now, because like, even the partner gets choked out. Like that's when the detective has to end it by shooting him in the heart, and it's a great performance of being like, I'm Chucky, I'm your friend. You're like, Jesus Christ, that is terrifying.
Yeah. And then again, we always have that character like, really? This thing could kill you? Tap, 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 tap. He gets choked out. I was like, you know what? I say you deserve it. You tempt fate too much.
Right? And then we get a very weird freeze frame, and you're like, I don't get what that means. Probably never will, but it's probably a director choice. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's the end of the first Child's Play. Again, pretty unique slasher. Like, there's nothing like the Child's Play franchise. Like, it's not comparable to anything, actually. Not to Halloween, not to Nightmare. It's its own thing, which still stands the test of time. It's still ongoing. It has a TV show. I think they're on season 2 by now. And you're like, oh, cool.
I want to give it a shot. Like, I wonder what they got to, like, tell us that requires an entire TV series.
Right?
Yeah. And the only thing I think was, like, close to Chucky is, like, this new movie with, like, the girl doll.
Oh, Metrigan?
Was it? Metrigan?
So Jeremy Johns calls it. I was like, okay, I'll just follow this.
Fan four stick kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that situation. Because I do want to try out other movies of the same somewhat subgenre, where murder is the doll.
Yeah. But like going back to Child's Play, the original one, what would you rate it?
Oh, yeah, as you said, it is very unique. I see, it's a very fun watch. Abrupt ending, but it's not as bad as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But it is fun. It really is. The lore within it is also pretty creative, and I really, really suggest to watch this in like your Halloween-esque moments.
Yeah.
And I'll give this one a 8 out of 10. I think it deserves it. It is much higher than Nightmare on Elm Street, in my opinion, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
For its creativity, and also I wasn't really tired when I watched it. I fairly enjoyed myself.
Yeah. I'll also give it an 8. Like everything you mentioned, like it's a pretty good story with pretty good effects, and like just the character of Chucky is again very iconic, is immortal at this point. Just like a lot of the horror villains we talked about in the channel, whether it be Michael, have we talked about Jason yet? Not yet. Leatherface and Freddy. Like Chucky is on a realm of his own, and that's where he belongs. And I'm glad he's there, and I'm glad this franchise keeps on going. May have some hits or misses, but most movie franchises do at this point, so it's fine. But yeah, that's been a review for the original Child's Play. What do you guys think? What's your favorite entry in this long mythos? Whether it be this one, the what do you call that? The Cult of Chucky, the Bride of Chucky, the Seed of Chucky. There's a lot.
Chucky.
Yeah, just Chucky or the 2019 reboot. Comment down below. But if you like our videos, please leave them a like and subscribe to the channel and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on TikTok and Spotify. Spotify to hear us on the go, TikTok to see our best and funniest moments and our reactions to trailers. I am not in any social media, but this gentleman is.
Oh, you can find me at JohnJM_ on Instagram. It is my account.
What's that? But anyway, until the next time, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.